Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode, Sweet 16. This is the 16th episode we've done. We're keep on rolling.
That's right.
And it's Father Knows Something.
Here we are.
So as you already know our cast, we have the dog that was just taken away, Holly, because she snores. Poor thing. They put her on a couch, but she'll be back. Don't worry. She'll pop up here and you'll hear her. And I really wanted to just take a second and thank all of you for participating and, giving your views and such positive and sweet things you say regarding, Dad. And it's wonderful. So please continue to do your write-ins. If you feel you want to tell me something, I do read everything that I can. So on that note, Justin.
Let's get her going.
Take it away, baby.
Okay.
I'm in a nice, comfortable, non-seatbelt position right now. Can I stay here, or do I got it?
I think you're good to go.
I'm good to go. All right.
Yes.
Oh, the socks, Pac-Man.
Oh.
I really, this is back from my era. The first video games that we had were the tabletop Pac-Mans and the table tennis game. So I like Pac-Man.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah. Okay.
On that note,
let's go.
I'm very excited because we do have an update.
Okay.
From our friend in Paris.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hello again, Jerry, Justin, and Morgan. I am the sad girl in Paris. First, I want to say you all have been an important part of my journey. To listen to my story and the response about how these feelings are normal and somehow justified made me feel much, much better, as well as listen to your experiences in the matter. You guys are helping a lot of people with this podcast. I figured I could give some update about how I'm doing. After I wrote my first story, I had a nervous breakdown and I looked for specialized help. I have been seeing a therapist for a little time now, and I can honestly say I am feeling better. Not 100%, but I think I can get there. We talked about chronic stress. I am a medical doctor doing a master, and it was just getting too much. I made some changes in my life and took more time for myself. Also, my mom can finally come visit, and I plan to take her to the Louvre, Versailles, and all of Jerry's favorite places.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Listening to my story read by someone else was a perspective-changing experience. I saw how deeply sad I was, and I was able to see myself with different eyes. I have chosen to stay here, don't waste the amazing opportunity, and just work more on myself. Fortunately, the sun is coming out in Paris, literally and metaphorically speaking. Thank you so much for your work and all you do for us.
That is fantastic. And I just thought to myself, she's staying and we're rolling into the spring and summer.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. So I am so glad to hear that and that you're going to take advantage of the history, going to the Louvre, seeing everything. And Paris has changed quite a bit from when I was there, and I would love to go back. But so I am so excited for you. So again, don't forget, keep in touch. Let us know how you're doing. And I'm really glad that you were wise enough and saw into yourself to go get help. Yeah. And that is a blessing in itself. And so we're here. We are here for you. And believe it or not, you're here for us.
Yes, it's a beautiful update.
Okay.
Well,
let's roll.
Great way to start.
Yes, it is.
Now we're getting into it.
Okay.
First one.
Okay.
I'm looking for help dealing with my father's death. I feel a lot of guilt. He was an alcoholic my entire life, not a mean one, but he couldn't have a job or take care of me properly. He lost his license when I was in 3rd grade. Because of that, I lived with my mom full time. I would see him and stay with him every other weekend. We ended up moving 400 miles away from him when I was in high school, and I couldn't visit much. We always spoke on the phone, but it wasn't the normal relationship one has with their father. He died right before I graduated from graduate school last year, unexpectedly. I didn't get to say goodbye. In fact, he called me several times a few days before, and I was so busy writing my thesis I never got back to him. I feel so guilty about this. My brother also has substance issues, and at my father's memorial service, he told me I never had a real relationship with my father. This killed me because we did have a relationship, just not in the conventional way. I've really struggled with this recently, and I don't know what to do.
Well, I too lost my father, and I lost him 30 some years ago. And so I can relate to some of what you're going through in a different way. My father was not an alcoholic. My father was just a very domineering, difficult guy to sometimes get along with. Although everyone else that he knew, he got along swimmingly with, and they had easy relationships. So every dynamic that a child has with a father is different. So your brother's relationship and your father's relationship is different than the one that you had with your dad. But all that aside, when I lost my dad, we hadn't talked for a few weeks. We were in business together back in that time, and there were some bad choices, and he felt very guilty about some of those choices. He had a lot of depression to try to solve the problem that we got into. Ultimately, it killed him. And he had a heart attack over this whole thing, which was dumb that you would lose yourself for a financial reason.
Sure.
You can lose the finance stuff, but everything else is more important. And I never cared about the financial stuff. I was much happier than when I could actually have a day with my dad and not talk business, or we can enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is the day that he died, I had just left and flown from Los Angeles back to Minnesota. My parents lived in LA. I grew up here. And I walked in my office at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning, and the phone rang there. It was 6 o'clock in Los Angeles, and my brother was on the other end, and he said, "Dad's dead." Now, my dad was 63, was healthy. I have a picture of him the day before he passed away at a party, and you never know this guy would have a heart attack the next day. It's tough to come clear with with the reality that you just lost your father, especially when you're 1,800 miles away and you're never going to speak to him again. And the guilt that we had for the 2 weeks before, that whole thing. And even though we had a few good days right before I left, and we were back on the right trail, you still go through all these feelings. And so I immediately came back to LA, and the first thing that I wanted to do, and my father was very superstitious and we couldn't really talk about death. So I went to the funeral home, and the funeral director was quite nice. He said, "Would you like to see your father?" And I said, "I would." And at that moment, he brought my father into the room, and he had a sheet over him, and he peeled the sheet back, and he was very gentle what he did. And I kissed my father's forehead. And I certainly felt a clamminess and a coldness upon his forehead. It certainly was his body, but that's when I came to terms with death, that it wasn't him, that he had certainly launched himself into the next phase of whatever our universe brings us. My father is a part of my everyday. He's part of our conversation today, as your father is a part of everything that you do. In your relationship, although it may not be in the mortal sense, your relationship is still in the spiritual sense. And I'm a believer in that we may leave our mortal body, but our spirit and our essence truly lives through us. So you may sometimes just decide when you're sleeping at night that you may see a vision of your dad, and you may hear a laughter or a good story back in a good time, or he may send you a message. Pay attention to those messages. They very well could just be him sending you and communicating to you in a way that he can. And it's up to you to accept that or not. So don't feel guilty. Feel the energy of him. I mean, I don't want to sound too much like Star Wars, but feel the force.
Yeah.
And you'll have your own relationship with your dad. And it goes on, even though it's not in the mortal sense that most people are willing to accept. And I hope that helps you, because it certainly helped me when I came to this realization. And I've lost both parents and other people that are close to me. And this really helps me as I do listen to those voices. I do listen when I'm dreaming of the experiences that someone may be trying to communicate with me.
Yeah.
And if it's just a dream and it's okay, it's certainly entertaining.
Yeah, sure. What are your thoughts on the brother's remarks?
That's his gig. This is all about her. And I think what I've just said, I really do believe in everything I said. Mm-hmm. So I think that if she allows herself to have that relationship and release the guilt and just enjoy the positive energy, apparently in death there's no negative energy. It's all positive energy. These conversations that I have, certainly with my mother, with an aunt, my father, people that were important to me, there are connections. They're very real. And some of them I can smile and I can laugh at because, they were funny people. And that we could, bring a circumstance, even if it's something moving forward that my subconscious puts together. And maybe it is that energy, passing through that spirit, that electrical connection. So this is all about you, not about your brother. So focus on who's important to you, and it's your relationship with your dad. And again, it's a special relationship because obviously you're thinking about it, and you can allow him in. You can allow that good energy into your heart, your mind, and your body.
Love that.
Okay.
Moving forward.
I love when we move forward to it. I hope that was a good one.
That was great.
I like that.
Okay. Number 2. So I am one of 5 siblings. My parents divorced when I was 3, but are still very much co-parenting. My mother had our youngest sibling with her then boyfriend 10 years after my parents' divorce. However, her boyfriend was a waste of space and left her while she was pregnant. After our sibling was born, our mother allowed the father to see them. He saw them once and decided he wanted nothing to do with them, and we've never seen him since. Well, actually, I have seen him several times, as he still lives in the same town, but he's never tried to contact my mom or his child. After that, meeting my dad, a wonderful man, proposed to my mom he would be the father and continue to co-parent, and this child will be raised along with us siblings. All of us siblings know our father isn't the bio father, but have no problem with him being the father. We all love our sibling as much as each other, maybe more because they are the baby of the family. Now it's 14 years later, and our sibling still has no idea that their father isn't their biological father. All of the family knows this, people in our town know this. I feel like the longer they wait to tell them, the worse the reaction may be. They should have told them when they were younger. But also, would they even want to know this information? My parents aren't the type to reason with. What they say goes. I just know that when the time comes, I need to be there for my sibling and help them process all of the information and emotions. So I suppose I'm asking, do I just let this play out? Do I try to convince my parents to tell them? Do I tell them?
Good questions. It's not just you and your baby sibling. There are 3 other siblings to talk about, and you all have the love for this guy or gal. So that being said, it's a joint effort. You've said something that's very important, that everyone knows this, including some of the people in the town. With 23andMe that's out there and other, I'm sure, products, somehow this is going to come clear. And your thought process that it needs to come from you guys before, I agree with you. Doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I agree with you. That being said, I think it's important that you talk to your parents and really try to encourage them, even if you say, look, can we go talk to a psychologist? Because, baby sibling is getting old enough now that it's going to come out, and I don't want to see a backfire on this thing or a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we'll give it a little extra, mom and dad, and go talk to someone that's professional in this, maybe we can get an idea how to do this. Because we all love baby sibling, and we don't want to see baby sibling struggle with this
Right.
under the wrong pretense. So I once read a book, Seven Successful Habits by Stephen Covey. And he talks about how we work in quadrants, 4 quadrants.
I think you've mentioned this.
And quadrant 2, I believe, was the one that you take action before it happens. So you're not reactive. You've planned for everything. You don't have the fall because you have already put a cushion before there's a fall.
Right.
Or you don't have a flat tire because you've replaced the tire before it's gone flat. So you don't have to worry about fixing your car that went to the side, So this is very similar to that. And I love the way that your thought process is working. As for you taking your brother and having this conversation, that could really go sideways. You need to do this as a family and let them know that there's nothing but love, and your stepdad, or the father that came in, his stepdad, or the father that came in to do this thing. I'm right there. It happened a little differently. When Morgan was conceived and her mom told me about it, and I said, we're going to raise a child together. And she said, well, what are you going to tell everybody?
Right. Yeah.
And my answer to it is, that's the easiest question to answer. I'm all about the truth. I said, this child will know who her biological father is, and she'll also know who her dad is.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be a great dad too, fantastic. But this is what's going to happen. Morgan was always raised knowing that she had a biological father, and she had dad. I mean, she knew exactly what it is. I never was jealous to as a man to have whatever her feelings would be for her biological father.
Yeah.
I was still a dad to protect her, to make sure she was fine. And he did have an alcohol issue. And she does have a relation. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But I'm sure she's got some good stories and some good things that have happened with him. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you did too. I mean, everyone has a relationship. There's certain moments that are tender. Everyone has tender moments with their real father and with dad.
Yeah.
And dad is clearly dad. He kept your family together. He did everything that you would want. I mean, Morgan's mom and I are not together, but we certainly raised 3 children together.
Yeah.
And we are a family.
Yeah.
Period. And we've never had any fights regarding, any game playing where she said, you're not going to get the kids. Or
Yeah.
We never had any of that. It was all about love and keep our children together. And our kids, even though that they're half brothers and sisters, they are brother and sister, period. I mean, that's just the way it is in our household. And I think that your baby sibling is just as lucky, and they're going to get it. So I think it will go fine. But I think honesty, and I hope your parents are not feared of this, but honesty is always the best thing, because it does always come back to come to the surface, and we don't want it to backfire.
Well, so in that situation, let's say the parents don't budge. Parents are hard no. Now that we know that, yes, this probably will surface at some point, do you still,
go ahead,
as the person writing in, do you still not tell them and let it surface through the town or through other sources if the parents are unwilling? Or is there a point at which you might do it yourself?
You said that I think you said the sibling's like 14 or 15.
I think probably about 14, yeah.
I think you should sit down with your other siblings. You can't do it on your own. It's got to come from a pack of love.
Yeah.
And I really do think your parent, you I don't care what you have to do to get your parents to sign on to this thing. Go to a team of shrinks. But it will only be better if you all do it together.
Right.
I really do believe that. I don't want you to run, blocker and do this thing too quickly. I think it could backfire for everybody.
I agree with that. The ideal outcome would be for them to have told them at a younger age so it was normal to them. Ideally, they should tell him themselves, but I just don't think they will.
Well, we have to deal with reason, and maybe you'll get there on a path you can get them to migrate a little bit. He will find out.
Right.
There's not a doubt in my mind you're going to be able to cloak this thing, but I think that if you do it together, it will be a positive adventure, rather than I heard this rumor in town, and what's going on, and I want to know this person, and
right. I can't imagine finding that out even at 14.
I think you need to be clear and honesty always worked for me. And I'm about integrity, and you may not like what I have to say, and I'll find the best way to say it. I'll try to find a way to pass the message.
Yeah.
But they have to pass the message.
So, best option, parents and everyone involved.
And the next best option is parents and everyone involved. And the next best option is parents and everybody involved. No yelling when you have the conversation with your parents. This is a mature conversation. Yeah. Mature people don't have to yell. There could be passion, but you don't have to flex your muscles and go ballistic. This is about the health of your baby brother.
Yep.
Things like this can change people's,
everything.
So it's very delicate.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed that you have the foresight to see it.
Yeah.
That says a lot about you. And let me tell you, a lot about you is how you were raised. And that's these parents. So give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they will see this if you have a nice conversation.
True. Okay. Well, keep us in the loop and let us know how it evolves.
Yeah. I'd like that.
Okay. Best of luck. On to number 3.
Okay.
I'm a PhD student and a little more than halfway through getting my degree. When I joined the university, there was an international student that was a direct accept into a professor's lab. Parentheses, this only happens to a few students each year, as you most likely worked in that lab as a volunteer or undergraduate researcher, whereas I rotated through 3 labs before picking the right one to start my degree. Within the first year, there were rumors that the newly accepted student, let's call her Jess, 28, and the professor, let's call him Joe, late 50s, divorced with 2 kids that are Jess's age from his previous marriage, are dating. Apparently, Joe fooled the department and admissions council to vouch for the student so she could be a direct accept to the university and into his lab. Apparently, they had met while Joe had a sabbatical at another university where Jess was a master's student, and the department was not happy. Within a year, they were engaged, married, and pregnant with their first child. The following year, they have a second child. Now Jess is in her 4th year of PhD, wrote 2 research papers, and has acquired a postdoc position and needs to graduate ASAP for this position. This is unheard of in a science PhD. Graduating in 4 years, having 2 children, and somehow have enough data to publish 2 papers, parentheses, it takes 5 to 6 years, average time for a science PhD with maybe 1 or 2 papers, without including time you will need to take off to have and take care of the baby. I'm wondering if I should be concerned or go to the chair of the department or the dean about this. Is it an abuse of power? Scamming the university? How does she have enough data to publish? How is this fair to the other students that take 6 years to graduate and publish data? He is a tenured professor, and it is a fireable offense to date a student. But this is all talked about in hushed conversations, something everyone knows but won't speak it out loud.
So my first thought was, why does the writer need to be the police? What is making this person so motivated to try to save the world? Because we have a professor that I do believe brought this person in improperly and for his own motives. And maybe not the professor wrote this person's, his girlfriend, his wife, the mother of his child's papers. That could happen. We don't know. The bottom line is this person's got to be bright enough to realize this isn't her issue. Or the writer's got to, if it's her or he, they got to pay attention to their own paper. They got to pay attention to getting their doctorate. They got to do their own life. And you can't police the world. We got so much corruption in our world. Really, she's going to get stuck on everyone that's screwing up our world. You're going to start here and you're going to keep going. My answer is, don't worry about them. Take your energy, spend it wiser, work on your own stuff, and not bring yourself down to the cesspool. And that's really the way I see it. Can you turn these people in? Can you start all this wave action? Typically that stuff backfires. Let the university solve this problem. Let them notice it. Let them try to figure it out. Someone else is going to also from the faculty might be bright enough to catch this and see some of these errors that are going on. You don't have to be the police. And I hope that you don't, because I don't think it's going to work in your favor.
Well, for their own sake.
For her sake,
right.
or for column writer.
Right.
For the writing, my thing is keep your face away from all this stuff. Stay away from these booby traps. Hold yourself above it and focus on your work. You don't have to befriend these people. You're there for your doctorate.
Right.
You go write your dissertation or whatever you have to do and do your work. And these people are going to be in another couple of years, these people are gone. They're out of your life. You're going to go on and move forward and do great things. But if you're going to worry about everyone else that's trying to do things the shortcut way, the illegal way, the improper way, you just fall into this rat hole.
Yeah.
I've seen people like this all my life, and sometimes it backfires on them eventually, and you say, karma got them.
Yeah.
And it typically does, because they don't stop. They keep doing it. That's just the way that they find their successes, by cheating their way through it.
Right.
And it will bite them in the ass, because look, she gets a doctorate. They're going to find out she's unprepared. And
true.
And it will tip itself out.
That's true.
So keep your nose straight, keep your nose into your own shit, and don't worry about the next person to go rat them out. It just doesn't work. Politically, it just blows you out.
Right.
And it blemishes you, believe it or not.
Which is unfortunate, but very true in this world. And I think there's situations like this, I think, that we've all experienced that kind of are super frustrating. You get, whether it's jealousy, whether it's just like a fairness thing, whatever, you want to see something happen. You want to see the justice of it. But I think a lot of times in life and in this world, it doesn't always happen.
Take this as a test, that you're being tested by the universe to see how you're going to handle this situation. Surprise everybody. Surprise the energies above by just saying, I didn't fall to their level. I held myself above it. just did my thing, and I did better work, and I didn't make any enemies. My nose is clean, and they can't say good things, or they certainly can't say anything bad things about me.
Yeah.
So you want to just keep doing positive things. And as much as you might think this is a positive thing, ratting out the professor who's a piece of shit and his wife who's really who manipulated this whole thing into it as well. Just separate yourself from this and hold it. Get out of that wet, sticky cesspool and stinky. It's yucky, stinky, and go do good things.
Yeah, this one might not be worth the hassle, I guess. It's
you will be held higher by doing this than if you were to rat them out.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said too. Like, if you're going to breeze through the education like this, sure, you might have this great position afterward, but who's going to be better suited for that in the long run? Who's going to perform better in that position in the long run?
The person that took the time to really learn.
Right.
The person that took the shortcut will fail out. They can't remember, they're going to keep doing this shit. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
They look at it and go, I got away with the first time, I got away with the second time, I got away with the third. Yeah, they'll get away with it.
Right. That's life.
Best of luck for them. But meanwhile, you're the one that's really seasoned, got all the knowledge. And you'll carry that to where you're going to go and someone's going to see it and talk to you and they're going to say, holy shit, this person's amazing. And by the way, they're going to look at you and they'll say, man, she's savvy.
Yeah.
There's stuff about her that we don't even know yet, but you're going to learn that you're going to have more integrity and more dignity by not playing this game and falling into that trap.
Yeah.
Of he did or she did.
That's right. Because the ideal outcome here was, I'm not sure about an ideal outcome, as there could be blowback on me if I make an issue out of this to the department, since we are a small department. I guess I just want to see justice out of this, because how is this fair? And I think that's our point here, is that it is not fair.
It isn't fair, but justice will happen.
It will, in time.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Okay. I like that. I think that can be applied in countless different situations.
So many.
I think that is like a big universal idea here, is that sometimes, yeah, it can be super frustrating. It can be super unfair, and you just have the short end of the stick, but it always evens out. And even if it doesn't even out, even if the justice never comes, that has nothing to do with you.
And you want to hear the real sad thing? The people that are in the department heads don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Work with integrity.
Yeah.
They don't have it. Don't you try to implement it within them. You're not going to teach these people anything. Just be smarter than them. And that means don't step into their landmines. That's this dad's opinion. Okay.
Right. Moving right along.
Okay.
I'm still not sure if we need the seatbelt here.
Well, if I need it,
We could put it on real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Parachute too?
I don't know. I mean, it's always better to be prepared.
Is this the big one?
No.
Oh, good. We got more going.
Oh, yeah, we got a few.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So I just need to get some advice on something. By the way, sorry if this is long. I would usually approach my dad about something like this, but he can be very overprotective, and I don't want him to do something irrational. Today I was approached by an older man while I was pumping gas at a busy station in the middle of the afternoon. I noticed him watching me in the reflection of my car window, so I turned around. He was wearing scrubs and asked if I worked at the local hospital. Parentheses, I do. I'd just gotten off work and was wearing my scrubs and my name badge. I know, bad move. I said yes and hoped for my gas to pump faster. He read my badge and introduced himself, and his name sounded familiar, but I can't really recall it since it's not a common English name. By the way he was dressed, he looked like he could have been a new physician since we recently had a merge with another facility. We have very minimal small talk, and then he commented about the town we were in seems quiet. I countered with, really? We get a lot of traumas, so it's not that slow. He seemed confused. Then he said, since the town is so cold and lonely, would you want to go out with me sometime? I immediately said no thank you and got in my car quickly. I noticed he started putting his pump hose up, and I drove the long way home. I don't know if he really works for the same hospital or was even really pumping gas. I don't have any self-defense items, so my question is, what should I have done better in that situation and what should I invest in, self-defense wise, other than pepper spray to keep myself safe? I have a FOID card, but have never shot a gun and don't really have any interest in conceal and carry. I would love to have this conversation with my dad, but he was a firefighter for 32 years and worries a lot. I think my work has a self-defense class that I might be able to enroll in, but I just want to make sure I'm being smart in public and not putting myself in danger. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
I have a daughter. I think we all know that.
That we do.
And if my daughter came to me and said, Dad, this is what happened, you have any thoughts? My first belief is I would say, always, you have a cell phone, I would imagine. And it's always good to keep it on you. And it's pretty quick and easy to get a picture. Take a picture of a license plate. That's number one. Because if you have the picture of that license plate, if anything should happen, at least you have something to reflect, something tangible to get back to.
Right.
Your defenses are nervous that this person who is obviously an older guy, why is he looking at me? What's his? He had a predator type of a vibe, and you were getting that predator vibe. This whole thing is about. You're
Right.
feeling that he is a predator. So as soon as you feel predator vibe, start thinking about that cell phone, something that you can record. Remember, there's cameras at the gas station probably. Try to mark the time that you think you're there so you can go back if you need to get a videotape to look at anything. You have to think defensively. And that's number one. I mean, even if you have a conceal and carry, you're not going to pull the gun out and aim it at the guy. I think that, you have to not really engage if you don't want to. And you can simply say, I really don't feel like engaging right now. I'm not interested. I have a husband, I have a boyfriend. I don't feel comfortable with this conversation.
Yeah.
Walk away or say, hey, you look like a nice fella, but I have no interest, and move on that way.
Sure.
But I would certainly not try to do anything to insult or instigate by just telling someone that, hey, seem like a nice guy, but I'm just not interested. That's not too bad. And if you take your phone and you snap some pictures, you mark the time. These are the kind of things. Notice the car, make a mental note. Try to go into, facts, that you could use if you were a crime novelist, just to have a good picture of what everything is.
Sure.
And move on. And if the guy shows up, if you see him at work and you really do see that he works there, or you can go onto your hospital website later, you can validate if the guy was real or not, and that might help too.
True. Well, and then moving from that situation, I think this situation sparked maybe a fear or maybe just a sense of wanting to be more prepared for other situations like this.
Right.
So more in general, yes, I think the awareness is a key factor. Mm-hmm. Just being more aware in those situations or trying to pick up whatever you can whenever you get the weird vibes. But what else can we extend to? I almost want to have Morgan sit here and tell me all the stuff she has from defense, because she's really asking, like, what should I invest in? Self-defense? Like, what are good moves to be more prepared?
None of the thoughts that you have are wrong. Taking self-defense is a wonderful thing. Carrying mace on you is a wonderful thing. Having devices in your car are a wonderful thing. But the most important thing is facts. And I will say this, if your perception was picking up something, your radar is picking something up, your radar is probably picking it up for a good reason. Something was weird about that. So that's why I said defense, what you can really do immediately. Try to not engage.
Yeah.
Try to get pictures of whatever you can. Get out of there as quick as you can. Taking the right. driving home by way of a police station. And pulling in front of a police station isn't a bad idea. I mean, that way they don't even see you take the long way home. I mean, there are so many ways people can track you these days. When you're not looking, they can put a tracker on your car. And you may not even see it. So there are things that if you get a weird feeling, trust your feeling, trust your gut, get pictures. And if you're going to take that, you took a defensive ride home by going the long way, drive to the police station, drive to your dad's house, drive somewhere where you know that you're safe, that you can walk in and that you're good. But to know martial arts, I would never say not to know martial arts, but I don't think you're going to go in a gas station with a guy who's being friendly with you and you're going to go kick the shit out of him, because that would be an offensive move, not a defensive move. So, sometimes you got to wait till you really see an action happen.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's too late. There could be 3 people in a van that can pull you in. I don't care if you've taken martial arts for a year or 2. Chances are you're going to have a problem. They can hit you with a syringe, to knock you out. There's crazy things. Like I said, trust your judgment, limit your conversation, take a few pictures, and get the fuck out of there and go drive by your dad's house or drive by a police station. Yeah. Morgan, can you think of anything different?
I think everything you mentioned is great. I think like trusting your gut in these situations is like the most crucial. And there are a lot of scary people, and like martial arts and all these things are great to prevent or like protect ourselves as best we can, because sometimes like these aren't preventable. Like there are some sick people out there that truly, no matter what you do and say, they're terrible people and they're just gonna fuck people up. And so Justin and I learned a lot about victim blaming, and like truly, like sometimes as sad as it is, the shit is unavoidable. So what you did and like trusting your gut and getting the fuck out of there, amazing. I think self-defense is great. It's on my bucket list. I would love to do it this year, especially with just how crazy the world is. There are apps on both Apple and Android Google phones. I know for the Apple phone, if you click your power button 5 times, it will contact emergency services and notify people, but you have to go into your phone settings and set that up. There's also settings within that you can make it loud or you can make it silent. I've turned mine to silent because I don't want anyone that's attacking me to be notified that the authorities are going to be called. So I turned mine silent, and then I had to additionally go in and set up emergency contacts. So like Justin, my dad, my mom, a couple friends, they're all on there. So if I do activate that, immediately it sends them my last location and tells them like I'm in distress. So I know other phone brands besides Apple have that too. Set that up. I think taking pictures is amazing. And I think going by a police station, I think that's a great tip. I also have a window cracker in my car, and it's like a spear pointed tip thing on both sides, and it's got a blade on it to like rip seatbelts. So it's mostly in case my car goes into a water situation, I need to like break the window. But also if you smacked someone in the temple with that thing, they're going down. So I have that in my door pocket, and I have a couple knives in there. But stuff like that's scary because they could grab it and turn it on you. So you just got to be prepared to like quick strike and get out. Also, one thing I learned as a flight attendant, you can do a hammer, like a hammer fist. Mm-hmm. So you can do a hammer fist on someone's clavicle. Go on YouTube, watch like self-defense videos. That's the easiest one to learn right now that you don't need a lot of training for, but you literally take your fist, don't put your thumb in there, fist, thumb outside, and hammer with the bottom of your hand onto someone's clavicle. And otherwise, go for the eyes, the balls if they have them. But fight. Okay, I'm done.
Trust your judgment. Get the fuck out of there as quick as possible.
Goodbye.
Oh, and by the way, I love the suggestion on the iPhone thing, but tell your parents that you've done this so when they get these emergency phone calls,
they know what it is.
They know what the fuck it is,
and
because
they'll react and not think it's fake.
I would never have known what that was unless we had this conversation.
See it? I could have saved my own life.
There we go. Yeah, and so she just said, I'm just hoping to get advice so I can prevent any future interactions with any suspicious strangers that I don't give away anything about my life.
There you go.
And I think we hit it. Thank you to guest Morgan. Cruising along.
Next.
One more.
I want more.
We have one more. And then a special one.
Okay.
Hello, Jerry, Morgan, and Justin. I am 24 female, and I've been together with my husband, 30 male, for almost 7 years, 2 of which is from dating. We have no kids, but 2 cats, so we often have a lot of time on our hands. The problem I'm having is that I feel like there's no more effort to keep dating me. I always try to go out on dates that I plan, but we never do and always end up staying home. I always put in effort to make him feel loved and appreciated, but most days I feel like I'm overcompensating. I feel very lonely most weekends when we both have our off days, and it usually goes like this for most our relationship now. I've clearly communicated how unhappy it makes me and how I want things to change. I've told him that I was willing to go to couples therapy and to work on myself as well, but he doesn't feel that it's necessary. So I'm asking, what should I do if I've communicated and nothing has happened to make us better?
Sometimes you're going to have to get him out of his comfort zone. Because unless he gets out of this comfort zone, you're deteriorating. And if you have to go out and be with other people to have a good time, what do you need him for? It's gonna keep causing another bit of stress.
Right.
So I think that you have had this conversation, I think, with him, saying I need more, but maybe you need to get his attention a little more when you say it, and say, I need more interaction with you. I want to go out and have some fun with you. I want to go paddle boarding, or I want to go, if you're in the snow, I want to go snowmobiling, or I want to go, build a snowman. It might sound stupid, but I'd like to be able to do things with you. This is when I fell in love with you, this was what you sold me. And now you've changed the product in the store. I'm letting you know that I know we have it. We have the ability of having these good times, but we're not stretching our minds. We're not exercising ourselves. Even if it's going to a museum and enjoying some type of whatever that museum is.
Yeah.
You have to find that thing to both get out of your comfort zone to go expand and explore new things. Because if you went out with somebody new and you were divorced, you would find some other things to go do that were going to be other experiences. And so would he.
Right.
You're not going to be divorced and both of you are going to sit home on the weekend with this new guy that you just met. You're going to go out and explore to learn about one another.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have that conversation. He doesn't want to go to couples therapy because he doesn't think anything's wrong. Tell him, I think you're wrong. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
And we have to fix it because you mean enough to me. We mean enough to me that I want to make sure that we don't go down the wrong path.
Right.
Kids are good and they're bad. Depends on the relationship. Because what happens sometimes, you guys get so involved with kids and raising those kids for those 20 years that after they leave the house and that you're an empty nester, you said, who are you?
Yeah.
Do I know you? And it's true.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep that as much as your kids are important to you, that you certainly focus on the we.
Right.
That, what we need to do for us and to grow and to do things. And it's not about money, because you can do things that really don't cost a lot of money.
That's true.
And just have a nice experience. I know that, I love to go paddle boarding. I love to go to museums. I love to do certain things. But right now, most of my weekends have been work because I have a project I got to get done so I can, sell something so I can survive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that, the women that I'm with, that we don't go out and, do some things that are fun and that are easy.
Yeah.
And it's just having it. it's about having the experience of doing something together. And you can go look back and say, that was a great experience we shared together. I don't care if it's fishing with a fishing pole and in a swimming pool where there's no fish. but you kind of get what I'm saying. You want to do something that you're going to interact together that's out of your norm, that you guys can laugh about, because laughing is what's going to bring you together. That's the humor, that's the joy.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like to me this could be another consequence of COVID and having that isolation for these couple years kind of puts you in this mode where you're used to just kind of being home, doing nothing, trying to fill time. And you kind of, I mean, I feel like a lot of us have lost that lifestyle we used to have.
Look, we got stuck in a house. We played Catan. We found beer pong.
Right, but these things, especially with a couple, can only keep you afloat for so long. I think you need that social environment. You need to go have these experiences that are not being stuck in the house. But I think it's COVID that kind of almost made us comfortable with that, with just always staying home. And it sounds like maybe your husband's been a little more affected by that than you have. So I'd make every effort there is possible to try and break that routine and get out, like you said. And if that's just how it is and it's not changing, then,
Pick them up from work one day and don't go home. Go another direction.
Right. Like you got to mix some things up, I think. And her ideal outcome is, I just want to be happy and feel like my efforts are being reciprocated.
Be the person that you were when you first started dating, by saying, hey, I want to go out and have some experience to get to know more about, open us up to have new experiences, to make us broader.
Yeah.
Do you want to join the space program?
I'd be ready. Let's go. Me and Morgan off to space.
One other thought is, if he's depressed, if there's something that's keeping him from wanting to go expand his horizon, he's fallen into a glut. And I would look into, see if he needs some help, if it's a depression, or maybe his work. There's not enough information. If you guys aren't working, what's changing your life? Because look, you're correct. We're in COVID.
Yeah.
And different things could have certainly happened there.
Well, and it has a big effect on people, and maybe he was just hit a little harder than others. And I just think there's ways to try and solve this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly got hit with COVID hugely financially. I lost my business, went from a viable business to absolute death.
Yeah.
And no vaccine was going to help it. I mean,
Yeah.
So my ability of going out and doing the things I wanted to do freely, because it changed.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to find new ways of keeping myself going and myself motivated.
Yeah.
So I would, that's another real thought to look into.
True.
So let us know as you try these things, and let us know how you do. See which works, and
yeah.
So
we'd love an update, and we could continue from there. Even.
Yeah, I mean, it helps me to stay sharp, that I can see what we're telling people, that
True.
It actually might have some good credibility, or it's bullshit. So I don't want to be bullshit.
Okay, well, that is where we're ending on this one.
So on that note, I will let you all know, I guess we have a bonus that we're going to put on.
We're going to do one more, but it's going to be on our Patreon
site. So come check us out on Patreon. But otherwise, we'll see you next week. It's always the Monday night, Tuesday morning where they're released.
Yep.
And we look forward to you writing and telling us more.
And we're getting more and more submissions. Every time I log in, I feel like there's more popping up faster.
And if you have friends, share with a friend
That's right.
and subscribe.
There we go.
So that's it for this week. And we'll see you next week. Meanwhile, we're great to play in your car and your home. And thanks for inviting me to be a part of your drive. Because, when you're in traffic and you're just chugging along, what better stuff to hear than Justin, Mogan, and I? Bye.
Bye.